Well, hello, and welcome to another lesson of the Discover Headless Tech course. I am Marcelo Lewin, the Headless creator, and as always, right there's my email address. Get a hold of me, Marcelo, at headlesscreator.com. Send me any questions, comments, any ideas, anything you'd like me to stream. I always love to hear from you. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Today, I have a special guest presenter. He is James Fiddler. He's the VP of Customer Solutions at Agility CMS, and he's going to show us how to manage website pages in Agility CMS. Agility has a special section with what they call pages. You're going to learn all about that, and he's going to talk to us about how do you manage that, what does the code look like. He's going to go through all that stuff. But before we get started, you know how this works. You got to go get your free account at headlesscreator.com. Once we're done with this live stream, you're going to be able to download the on-demand version of this lesson. Plus, you'll have access to all the other stuff in Discover Headless Tech. So there's a lot of tutorials, plus a lot of interviews with bonus material. And you'll have access to all the upcoming lessons and lots of other courses like the Content Modeling Weekly course, which you know I'm a total content modeling geek. I love content modeling. So get your free account. You'll be able to have access to just about everything in there. Alrighty, that's it. So you know how this works. For those of you that come back here all the time, is basically what I do now is I go ahead and restart the intro, because what we're going to do for the on-demand version, there'll be absolutely no marketing. We're going to jump in to the lesson, and we'll start by chatting with James for a little bit. So I will see you in just about 10 seconds. Well, hello, and welcome to another lesson of the Discover Headless Tech course. I am Marcelo Lewin, the Headless creator. As always, get a hold of me right there, Marcelo at headlesscreator.com. That's my email address. Send me any questions you have, feedback, comments, ideas, whatever you like, send them over, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Today, I have a special guest presenter. He is James Fiddler, the VP of Customer Solutions at Agility CMS. And he's going to show us how to manage website pages in Agility CMS. Now, I'm not going to tell you anything else about him because I'm actually going to bring him in. James, welcome to the lesson.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Now, you're in Montreal, right? You said, or?
No, so I was born in Montreal, and then lived out west in Victoria for a while, but I've been in Toronto now for quite some time.
Oh, in Toronto.
This is my permanent home, I think.
Got it. Perfect. And I do want to tell people that today you may not be the only guest presenter here. We may have a special guest that may appear. He's four-legged though.
Yeah, well, she's
she's
just outside of the camera right now.
Okay.
And my dog walker canceled for today, so we might see her scampering around in the background.
That's fine. You know, I hear that she's a little bit better than you on Agility CMS. Is that true or no?
She's agile. I mean,
she's agile. So there we go. Anyway, real quick, so people get to know a little bit more about you. How did you get into the tech sector, and what did you do before? Were you always in the tech sector?
No, I believe it or not. In high school, I wanted to be an actor, so I was really into drama. I went to a specialized school for it. But right after high school, I decided to take a year off and get a job. And so started working at Staples Business Depot, and then just got into computers, just helping people fix their computers. Got into being like a resident technician. So if you got a virus, brought your computer in, that's sort of, I forced myself how to learn a bunch of tech that way.
Right.
And then decided I wanted to go to college for that. So totally different from acting, entirely different. But I was kind of hooked on it. The idea of you have a problem and then you solve it, and that sort of euphoria you get when you solve a problem. Mm-hmm. And then just sort of networked and eventually got my first development job at Agility, actually. And I've been at Agility now for 9 years.
Oh, wow. 9 years.
Okay. Yeah, doing a plethora of different things. Started off as sort of a junior support developer, really not knowing which way was up. And then, been really thankful to work at a company here that they've really fostered growth. And I started working my way up to leading a team of developers and project managers building websites using Agility CMS. So my background's actually in building solutions using Agility. I did dabble in some product management for a while as well, but I really found where my heart was teaching other people how to use our platform, and also like collecting feedback from people using it and seeing what people want to do and sort of helping, feed that feedback back to our product team. And that's really the stuff that drives me, is teaching people and seeing people get at that sort of aha moment and, get a chance to show off what we can do.
Definitely, yeah. You and I seem very similar because obviously I love education and teaching people, but I also in college did acted in a play, and you can see how successful I was. Then now I'm doing this, so acting wasn't my thing, but I still loved it as well. So that's and speaking of acting, I always like to close it up with some other personal stuff. And since we're talking about acting, which leads me to movies, and as everybody knows, I'm a huge movie buff with my home theater and stuff. So, do you have a favorite movie or favorite actor that you like?
I like a lot of different things. I have to say I'm a pretty big Star Wars buff, always kind of have been. Big Harrison Ford fan.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, Harrison Ford. Good stuff. All right, well, perfect. All right, so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and show your screen so that way you can get started. So let's go ahead and get your screen ready there. So we can go ahead and move it over, and then
I'm ready.
Perfect. So we're showing your screen now. So James, we're all ready. If anybody has any questions, put them in the chat. I'll ask James while he's presenting. James, I may have some questions for you, but until then, I'm going to go on mute, and it's all yours.
Awesome. Fantastic. Like you said, if you have any questions, shoot, I'd be happy to answer them. So welcome, everyone. We're going to talk about managing web pages, and I'm going to go through what we're going to cover today. So what we're going to do is we're going to sign up for a new Agility instance. Obviously, we're going to need that to be able to manage some content. I'm going to give you guys a demo of really how pages work in Agility and some of the benefits there. And we'll also look through how you'll actually deploy a website so you can actually work with the page. Remember, this is a headless CMS, so you can have a headless CMS with all your content, but you do need to have some sort of thing to show the content. In this case, we're going to be looking at a website. And then we'll actually dive into some code, and for those curious developers out there to sort of see, how does page routing and stuff work within website code, and I'll be demoing that in a Next.js site. So one of the common questions we always have is like, hey, you guys are a headless CMS, but like I thought pages were like a traditional CMS thing. Why do we need pages in a headless CMS? Can't I just create and structure my content the way that I want to? The question is, or the answer to that is, you can always structure your content however you want to, but we think pages are so super important, especially for editors, to be able to get what they need done and give them the experience that they expect to have in a modern CMS. So why are we talking about pages? Well, here's some common complaints that we hear from editors all the time who are working with headless CMSs that are lacking some of the implementation details that they'd like to see. So number one, when you're working with a headless CMS, a lot of editors say they can't preview content updates in real time. A lot of this sort of goes back to, you have a static site like Jamstack or something, to be able to update pages and see that content update in, close to real time as possible is extremely important to them. So we'll look at how that can be done. They have limited control over creating, deleting, and redirecting pages. So think of this in a headless CMS. You've got content structures that developers or architects create. A lot of times what we see is they don't give the editors a lot of control over like what pages are actually in their website. So, and developers will sort of hard code page routes and stuff in their code and then sort of pull in the content for that page. And what you're doing there is you're giving the editor the ability to change the content on the page, but not really create a new page necessarily, or have a lot of control over exactly what is on those pages. Not to mention things like what happens when you need to redirect a page to another page. So we'll look at that. Limited control over what is actually on each page. Like I said, developers tend to, sort of put certain components on specific page routes. The editors, don't always have control over what is actually on there. And this leads to inconsistent or inefficient content workflows. You'll have editors messaging developers, be like, hey, I need this like new landing page up. And the developer's going to be like, hey, I don't have a content model for that landing page yet. Let me go code this up, and then a bunch of time is wasted. There must be a better way. And then lastly, publishing content, sometimes can take too long where they don't understand the concepts of builds. This is more in relation to building a Jamstack site that can work well with page management. So I'm hoping we can go through this and I'll show you how all of these things can be addressed with Agility CMS. Ultimately, I think the power here is, as developers and architects, we really need to show some empathy to our editors and give them the experience that they expect and the thing that they deserve. And trust me, it'll save you a ton of time in the future from having to make a bunch of, constant feedback loops and updates. Give the editors the power to control their pages and what is on their page. And then that way, as a developer, you're just creating blocks that the editor can add to a page and make it a lot easier for them. So what we're going to need here is we're going to need an Agility instance. And in this case, we're going to use our blog starter as an example. To do this and follow through as a developer, you will need a GitHub account. This is not 100% required, but it makes it really easy if you want to actually deploy the site because it can connect to your GitHub account and automatically create a repository for you and set up some basic DevOps. And then lastly, you'll need the actual blog starter code on GitHub, which is the actual code that's going to power the website that we're going to be demoing today. In terms of the final product, let's see what the thing we're actually going to be working on here. So what we see here, this is our Agility blog starter. It's a pretty basic site. It's a blog. It's a nice blog, and it's a travel blog. We want to do a travel blog because everyone, I think, is itching to travel right now, and it's kind of difficult in the pandemic. So maybe we can scratch that itch just a little bit. If you haven't been to Canada, highly recommend it. Okay, so up here at the top, I just want to sort of highlight one thing. We have this little we call this our preview bar or a status bar. This sort of helps us in the starter sort of understand that hey, we're viewing published content right now, but we can switch this and go into a preview mode. I'll dive into that a little bit more in the future, but just want to give you guys a heads up on this is the site that we're actually ultimately going to be working with. So what's the first thing we need to do here to get started? Well, the first thing we need to do is actually sign up for an Agility account and get a starter. I already have an account. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to create an instance based on a starter. You can see here in Agility, we have a lot of different starters, actually a lot of different blog variation starters with different frameworks. In this case, we'll look at the Next.js, but we also have a commerce starter, which is actually somewhat new and pretty cool. Check that out. Maybe we can do another session on that later. Or you can sign up for a blank instance. But in this case here, I'm just going to sign up for one of our blog starters. And I'm just going to start a free trial here. And I'm just going to call this creator. All right. And we're in. So let me start by just giving you guys a sort of mile-high overview of Agility so we can get an idea of sort of how things are put together here. So what we're looking at here is we're just looking at the home dashboard. This is a great place to start just to sort of learn the system, go through a couple tutorials here. I'm your tutorial here today, so just follow along with me.